So just a quick tip for a plugin on this Friday. It's called Mini by AudioMap. I just bought this yesterday and I thought it's maybe an interesting plugin for you because it's a sample browser, sample viewer, and a lot of people are interested in that. It gives you this kind of XY coordinate system for your samples. You can define what's on the X-axis, also what's on the Y-axis and how it's colored. Here it's noisiness, brightness. I guess everything that's blue is less and everything that's red is more. So blue is, in this case, your not so bright and red is very bright. Every time you hover over some of these dots, it gets played back. Maybe it's not ideal for all cases. I wish there would be some kind of button where you can switch this off, because every time you go over these dots, it plays back the sample. I guess it's okay. Then you can define here on the X-axis, for instance, percussiveness. So this is here, this axis. Brightness, so here everything here is not so bright. This is very bright. Then you go the Y-axis, which is very noisy and not so noisy. So, which means I have a lot of bright, noisy samples and not many bright, not so noisy samples for some reason. I guess that's normal. You can also put this here on a diagonal line when you say brightness and brightness. You get something like this. So this is not bright, this is very bright. Yeah. And then we also have down here a length slider, so we can kind of filter for how long the sample is. So these are very short samples here. Yeah, and on the right side we have all the directories, and you can add, of course, your own directories. That's the whole point of it. We can solo certain directories here, or just mute, or just kick them out. And you can also add parent directories. So it's not like you have to define directories where you have samples directly in it. You can also just select parent directories and it scans all the subdirectories in it. At the moment, I guess it's a bug, but if you close or if you remove the plugin from your session, everything is gone. You have to scan these folders again, so it's not persistent at the moment. Maybe there's a fix coming. I don't know, maybe this is intended, but I guess it's not. Yeah, so this is a problem at the moment. I also miss here for the filtering some kind of search box, for instance here in XO, which is kind of similar. So it's basically like Mini, but without the sequencer stuff here. Also here, when you hover over these samples, nothing happens. Here you have to click and drag. And then if you want to drag something out, you have to hold down, I guess, here Control. Then it works exactly similar. Here it's a bit different. But it would be nice if you can just switch off the playback feature. So here I use the search box a lot. So I search for snare, for instance, and just filter for the file name. Yeah, this would be nice to have also in here, just the text filtering. I guess it's not that hard. Even better would be if you could search for the real content. So if you type in snare and it also finds samples that are really snares, even though the file name says something completely different. But it's probably harder to do. Anyway, so this is the sampling, and also here the XY coordinate system. You can also resize this. This is also no problem. There are something on the top here, right? So it gives you this kind of line that you can twist and bend. So this is the keyboard mapping, more or less. So these are now here the low keys on my keyboard, and these are the high keys on my keyboard. So I can put this line on top of my samples and then play it on my keyboard. So if you have a lot of samples and you just put this in random places, it could be really nice to have to just quickly load up samples onto your keyboard or fire it up in some kind of drum sampler instead of just dragging this out into a drum sampler and then, you know, triggering it differently. So yeah, nice to have. This is this feature here. You can also put this in all kinds of positions and bend it or twist it, no problem at all. Then there's here this record feature. I use most of the times here the keyboard shortcut, which is just hitting R on the keyboard, and then you can go through your samples like this. And then you hit R again to stop recording. So this is called mouse gestures. And then you can go into the plugin here and call or search for gestures, gesture position. Then you can automate this here, of course, in Bitwig or in your DAW. Just draw in here some automation. What I miss here is something like a quantizer, a clock quantizer, what we have in the grid. So you can say only playback samples exactly in a 16-node grid or an 8-node grid or something dynamic. Maybe there is something like this already in there, but usually what I had to do now, or what I need to do, is I need to resample this here and say bounce, for instance, post fader. Then you have like a lot of samples like this, and then you right click and you need to quantize it to an 16-node grid, for instance. But this is like an audio. It would be nice if we could do this already with MIDI or with nodes. So you can define a beat grid and then it quantizes all the triggers to this beat grid. Would be nice to have, I would say. So yeah, and then you can delete it here with this X. And then there's also a help menu here. You can see R is the shortcut for recording. Control and drag is draw a MIDI line. This is what I showed you. So you can say here, or this is select, multi-select, shift is multi-select. You can do something like this on this. Yeah, and you can multi-select if you want to track out multiple samples. Everything possible. This is the help. It's also not very expensive. I show you this here on the website. 25 bucks. I think this came out just a while ago, a few days ago, so it's not that old. I hope he brings in some fixes for the persistence of the samples and maybe add some small little features. Could be really nice to have. I don't know if it works within Linux. I have no idea. Try it out. Give it a try, okay? I put the link in the description below, and I think it's, yeah, worth a try. Worth a try. So yeah, also playback here needs some kind of button that you can turn it off at least, or maybe P on the keyboard, play, yeah, or something like this. Would be nice. It's a bit annoying every time you go over these dots, you play it back, basically. Anyway, that's the plugin called Mini by AudioMap. Link is in the description below. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, leave a subscription, and see you in the next video. Bye.